All right, all right. What's going on, folks? Yours truly here, Papa Goat, aka Mr. American Dream. Today the show started a little late, but it's all fine. As you know, sometimes things happen. But for those of you who's been waiting to see the show, we finally started right now. But anyway, today's guest is extremely, very, very different because you can see the title, and I can't wait for you to actually listen to this conversation we're about to have. But as always, the show will start right after this. All right, welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the show. I'm very, very excited for our guest today. Today we have the one and only Mr. Francis, and as you can see on my screen right now, Mr. Francis is all the way from Africa, Ghana, Africa, right, Francis? Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Okay, all
exactly.
the way from Africa. And I had a chance to actually speak with him right before the show, behind the scene. And let me tell you, you are in for a show. So make sure you're sharing this live as you are watching. Share it with your friend. But Francis, please tell everybody a little bit about you, your background.
Thank you, Mr. James. I'm happy to be here. And when you sent the invite, I could not say no. It's so beautiful to be here. So my name is Oduro Francis. My first name is Francis. Last name is Oduro. I was born and raised in Ghana, in West Africa, in Africa. And I am a teacher by profession. I'm teaching math and I have been teaching math in South Africa for the past 7 years. So I am married. I have a wife who is currently in South Africa, and I have a son who is 18 months as we speak. Yeah, so practically that is all about me. Currently, I'm staying in Haines City in Florida, and I'm teaching math at Rage Community High School in Davenport.
Amazing, amazing. And you coming here to America, how long have you been here so far?
I came to America on the 28th of July,
Okay.
and it was my first ever time. So, 28th of July until now, I think it's practically about 4 months.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
So you're very new and you come here straight from Africa to actually teach, which is what we're gonna be talking about today. But before we unwrap all that, just let us know. I'm from Haiti. I know what it's like to be raised in Haiti. But tell us, you're in your 30s. I think you say you're 34, 35, right?
I'm 35. I was 35 on the 26th of October.
Okay, perfect. Now tell us a little bit. How is it, being raised in Ghana, Africa?
Okay, let me start from this way.
Hmm.
There is a saying that says not to be born with a silver spoon in the mouth. When you are born and raised in Africa, in Ghana, the parts where I come from, it's only a blessing that you are able to make it out of the lot. To be honest, being raised from the scratch, going through the schooling system, how difficult things are, it is extremely hard. Sometimes it is good to tell the truth. And when you tell the truth are facts that can always be verified by whoever desires to verify. So, being brought up in Africa, in Ghana, in a typical village in Ghana, growing up was very difficult. Going to school, sometimes there are no even school buildings. There is absolutely nothing. You are left to fend for yourself. It is a luxury when you are able to make it through the lot to go to high school and then to university, as I was able to go through. So sometimes it takes dedication, it takes discipline, it takes self motivation, it takes a whole amount of God fearing to be able to make it through. It's not as gloom as a doom, but the situation doesn't look promising. It's difficult, but at least by the grace of God, we have been able to make it this far.
That is amazing. I mean, thank you for sharing this with us. And as you were talking, I'm trying to imagine putting some similarities of when I was growing up in Haiti, how the school system was. When you go to school, sometimes if it's sunny outside, the sun can still hit you while you're sitting like inside the partial building that I remember going through. But being me coming from a third world country, I can relate to a lot of things you were saying, and so my next question to you is, now you come here before we get to fully talk about education. So coming to from Africa to here, how did you actually, because I know we talked about it briefly when you mentioned you were in a program to come and teach. So how did that go about? Walk us, you maybe take like maybe 2 minutes to talk about that, coming from Africa to here.
Okay, well, I know sometimes when people hear that people have been brought from Africa to come and teach math in America, it sounds sarcastic. I mean, I have quite a few of the friends that are from Kenya, from Cameroon, that are teaching English in America. So it sounds so weird because to begin with, Kenya and Cameroon are not even people that originally speak English. They speak French. So for somebody to go through a French speaking country and to be brought in America to teach people that eat and drink English, the subject English, it's so weird. But I mean, when we wanted to come, when I say we, I'm talking about myself and quite a couple of friends. When you have the dream to come and work here, I mean, it's practically impossible to just start from anywhere and get a working visa to come and work here. So there is a program. Actually, the name of the program is TPG. I don't want to go so much into that, but it's a kind of an agency that recruits teachers to come here. And it's a sort of a cultural exchange program where you are required to come and teach the American kids what is it that you know, what is it that you have practiced over the years. Because they believe that some of the American kids may not have even gone beyond the state in which they live, not to even talk about country like Mexico, Puerto Rico that are closer, and not to even talk about far away in Africa. So we have come here, we have been given the opportunity to come and share the experiences that we have had over the years in Africa in terms of educational system, the culture, the food we eat, how things are actually done on the other side of Africa. So basically, that is through the program that I came here to teach math.
Okay, and I mean, I have to put it down to anyone who teach math, or who to anyone who understand math, because me personally, I have to be honest. I can only add and subtract some numbers, you know,
Oh,
but for you to actually teach this subject is hat dance to you. And I know brother Pierre, which is another professor who teach math, and that's how I know you, through him. Hello, brother P. If you're watching this, I'm sure he's watching this right now. But now let's get a little bit into the nitty gritty about specifically education. Once again, thank you for sharing that with us. What you just shared with us. So my first question, the first question that I have for you today, what would you say? What is the difference between the school system in America and Ghana? What would be the difference?
well, the difference, where do I start from? Okay, let me start from the grading system. When you talk about Ghana and a typical African country, we have the primary school, which from here I think it's from the first grade to the sixth grade. Then we have what we call the junior high school, which is from the seventh to the ninth grade, and those schools are independent. Then we have what we call the senior high school, which is the 10th to the 12th grade. So typically, every school, like I have said, is independent. The primary schools are independent, the junior high schools are independent, the secondary schools are also independent. But the funny part is when we finish the ninth grade, which we refer to as the junior high school, Because for you to be able to go to a senior high school, you have to get very good grades. When I mean good, I mean extremely good. I'm only talking about the results now. Because I mean, there are so many junior high schools, but very few senior high schools. The junior high schools are scattered all over the country, but mostly with the senior high schools, it's in the bigger cities. So for you to be able to go in the senior high school to say, I want to go and do science or math or languages or arts or whatever, you have to get a very good grade from your junior high school. Then after you have got a good grade, there comes what we call money. Because in Ghana, schooling is not free. It is only recently that the recently elected government has tried to bring up free education. They are just starting from the scratch. But the time that I was attending school, school was so expensive. And I have so many friends of mine who got better grades than I had in the junior high school. But because their parents could not afford to pay for the senior high school, as I speak, most of them ended up doing, I mean, those menial jobs like masonry, like carpentry, and those stuff, because the senior high school is extremely expensive. I quite remember during that time when my father passed away, I was in the what we refer to as the 10th grade. That was when my father passed away. And I was this close to dropping out because of the issue of money, because the school fees was so much. And my mother was not working at that time. So it was just by the grace of God that I got a scholarship or a bursary from the government, just because I did some stuff in the interviews. But I was this close. When I mean close, we're talking about inches to dropping out
Hmm.
because the school fees was extremely high. So you can imagine that going through right from the primary to the secondary, if your parents cannot afford it, forget about education in Africa, particularly in Ghana. That is what I would say.
Hmm. And before you get to the other session, do you think when we talk about expensive, is it expensive compared to what? So, say if I'm a parent, right, and I don't have I have a regular job over in Africa. So, how much would it cost me to send my two kids to school?
Okay. So if I'm talking numbers, as at the time I was in the high school and
Mm-hmm.
then now, as at the time I was in high school, my mother could pay around $400 per term. In Ghana, we use a term, so we have three terms in a year. So the three term was that is about 3 months. So every 3 months, my parents had to pay about $400 for the school fees. And quite apart from the school fees, you had a choice whether to go to the boarding house or to stay home and go to school and come home. That is, if you are fortunate to have a school that is closer to where you stay.
Mm-hmm.
If you do not have a school closer to where you stay, then you have two choices. You either have to go to the boarding house, and the boarding house also comes with its own expenses. That is more expensive than even the school fees, because you need to pay for feeding for 3 times a day. You need to pay for the school clothing. You need to pay for so many utilities. If you do not get access to the boarding house, it means your parents would have to rent a house for you closer to where the school is,
Hmm.
so that you go to school and you come home. What they refer to in Ghana as a day student. So you can imagine, even at the high school, your parents have had to rent a house for you or a room for you so that you'll be able to attend what you refer to as the day student. But to get the luxury of going to the boarding house, I had that luxury. To go to the boarding house, it comes with extra cost.
Hmm.
And when I talk about a 400, I'm talking about an average high school, because there are classes of those high schools. There are very good schools that you can pay up to about a $600 every 3 months. In
Hmm.
perspective, yes.
That's so pretty much that's what we would actually refer to when you say the term If you say every 3 months, so you're talking about every quarter, then the parent have to pay. Um, okay, well that's very interesting to know because paying for education that mean automatically you think of value, you know? So, well, my next question to you is, and, you can elaborate on this. If you had the opportunity to, to check, when you're looking at the systems, right? Both system, if you had an opportunity to change, what would it be when it comes to the education system comparing to what you know here so far and, back in Africa?
Wow, if I got the opportunity to change, the first thing I would change would be to make the education free. And the free, I would explain a bit. Actually, I think
You mean to
if
make the
every
education free in Africa? Okay,
yes,
okay.
but the free also comes with its disadvantages
Mm-hmm.
because, as I was saying, I worked in South Africa the past 7 years, and in South Africa, too, education is free. And what I have seen so far is the moment something is put free, people actually, particularly the beneficiaries, we are talking about the students,
Mm-hmm.
because it is free, they think that they can do whatever they want and get away with it. Because let me tell you a situation, my brother. In Ghana, at the end of the term, when we are at the end of the academic year, when people are going to be promoted, being promoted is not automatic. You have to work for it. And there were students that will be dismissed. Even if you are paying for it, you will be dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
You go home, and then your parents may have to look for another school for you.
That's
So
true.
you,
And before you continue, just to so I can put my 2 cents on there. That is so true because it's the same concept in Haiti when I was in school because your parents do pay for the school, and if you decide you act up, your parent really what I would say like just for me, just to open a little parenthesis. I've been to middle school here, high school, and I went to some college. And I also went to the school system back in Haiti. So if one thing I can say I personally can say for myself is my parents actually pay more attention to me and what I'm learning at school in Haiti than it is over here because they was investing money they nearly didn't have. So that's just to piggyback on what you said, but go ahead and keep going, please.
yeah. So as I was saying, at the end of the academic year, imagine your parents having to pay so much money, and then they get a report. Usually, our reports were not handed over to us. They will post it to your parents. So sometimes by the time you even close and you go back home, your parents may have got your report already. And the report is saying you have been expelled from school for academic performance. I mean, it is so embarrassing. Resources have been wasted in your area. People looking at you as you have failed in the context of having failed the high school. So, from a personal point of view, knowing that my mother didn't even have the money that she was paying, there were times she would borrow. I had a duty to make sure the money doesn't go waste. I worked hard for it. But I mean, if you use South Africa, it is free. No matter how many times you fail, I had a class where people were failing for the seventh time in South Africa. They were so old. I had 23-year-old students that were in the 11th grade. They have been failing consistently. But because it is free, free food, free uniform, free everything, they keep on coming over and over and over and over. It is free, so let's enjoy it. So if I had a chance, I would really make it free, but I may put conditions. Yes.
Hmm. And what would be some of this condition you think?
Okay, some of the conditions I would put is measures that can help students pass. I think one thing sometimes we make mistakes is when we give the rights to people. And I'm just talking not from a human rights person, I'm just talking just it's totally my opinion.
Hmm.
So when we usually give rights to people, we sometimes fail to teach the responsibilities to say, well, it's your right to education, but you also have a responsibility to work hard for it. So if it's free, you have a number of years that you have to be able to pass a grade. You have a responsibility to make sure that you pass a certain grade so that you can benefit from what is free and not leave it so open so that people can just come to school, they don't pass, they don't care just because it is free.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Which makes sense. Which makes sense. That would give pretty much the aspect of the person do what they need to do. It would increase because they know if they don't perform a certain way, then they may lose these benefits. Okay, I really appreciate you sharing that. Now, my question for you is, which one do you like better? Like you get to experience the school system here and a little bit, and you get to experience the school system in Africa. Which one do you like better among the both?
Oh, this is a very this is a very difficult question. You know, I don't know if you are still going to go there. The difference between the students here and the students that we were in Africa and what we see now,
Hmm.
relationship with teachers. I don't know if you are still going to go there. Maybe if I say a little bit about it, I should be able to make a choice. Um, to be honest, I want to use the word worship. In Africa, when you are a student, you practically worship your teacher because you know that the teacher has got something that you don't have, and you really need those things from the teacher. I have been a student. I knew how humble I was towards my teacher. I know how hardworking. You know, it was an honor for you to be able to speak to your teacher. Our teachers were treated so sacred that when a teacher calls you, it means he has seen something special in you. When the teacher is leaving the classroom in Ghana and in South Africa, the classroom is there, the students are there, so the teacher moves to the class, and after that you leave the class, you go to the next class, you go to your next class, so the teacher will be walking around instead of here where the teacher is seated in one class, then the students come and go. So when the teacher is leaving the class and he calls your name, Francis, can you pick my book and walk with me? I mean, that alone makes my day. The fact that the teacher sees me worthy enough to walk with him, that makes my day. When a teacher enters the class, students stand up, we greet the teacher, we keep standing until the teacher tells us to sit. And even now, it is still happening. Unfortunately, the experiences I have had over the past 4 months, it's quite the opposite. I mean, um, there are days where you greet some of the students, you want to be nice. Hi, how was your day? I mean, you even talk to them, they ignore you. They don't even respond to your greetings. Practically, I don't know if I could say you don't mean anything to them, you know. So I don't know if maybe my perspective will change more as time goes on. But for the 4 months that I have been here, believe me, I like working here. I love it so far. I like when I'm imparting the knowledge, what I know. But without saying so many things more, but you are free to ask, I would choose the one that we have in Africa.
Hmm. And that holds a lot of weight, and I'm going to tell you why. You say something that's extremely important, and me in my country, I can relate as well because I'm from Haiti. When it comes to the teachers, and you watching this, you probably was born here in America. You don't know what it's like to be outside of this country and be part of the educational system. What you say is 100% on point. Back in Haiti, a teacher is seen as a very superior being. And when a teacher address you, like you said, you feel special. Why? Because the teacher is the one that's really shaping your education. And parents respect the teacher. And all students actually respect the teacher. And the time when I was being raised going to school. And just to piggyback on what you said, I remember when I came to America from Haiti. I moved here when I was about 12 years old. And I remember my experience in the classroom, Francis, where it was a culture shock to me. I would sit there and the teacher would ask the kids to, hey, keep it down. Very nice. And nobody listens. Nobody listens. And to a point where I first saw a student disrespect the teacher, I was actually waiting, for something to happen. And nearly nothing happens. The TA, he gets, I believe he got what's called a detention, and literally the next day show back up to class and act the same way like nothing happened. So I can relate and truly understand where you're coming from when you make that statement saying you would choose that system over there simply because of respect. The respect for teacher and student is very, very high. So I really appreciate you saying that. Now, my next question to you is, to me, since math is very difficult, why did you choose math? Like, out of the beautiful subject where we have science and where we have philosophy and where we have all these beautiful, why math? Like, why did you choose math?
Well, the choice I made, I think I made that choice after I actually understood education. To be honest, growing back in Africa, where practically you start learning English those years, I think around the age of 7, 8, that is when you start learning English. Most of the teaching in your early days are done in the vernacular. They promote it so much. But my English, strangely, was still okay. Particularly when it comes to writing, I was able to write a very good essay. I mean, in my high school time, I was so good at writing. When I wrote debate, argumentative essays, they could see that. I mean, there were points that people could even say that your accent, you look like you grew up in America or wherever. But I mean, I grew up entirely in a village in Ghana. So what prompted me to choose math was that I personally think languages, it's a bit subjective. When I mean subjective, I write an essay. You as an English teacher, when you read the essay, you really think Francis has done a good job in this essay. Mr. Pierre, the other professor at the school, he takes the same essay, reads the same essay. Now he believes that I should have done better. I mean, what I wrote. So even though there will be what we refer to as answer key or marking guidelines, but particularly when it comes to essays, people are just able to they influence it subjectively. So it's demotivated me. There were times you go into an exam room, there is an essay question, you believe you have done justice to the work. Now you come and you have got a 40%.
Hmm, hmm.
Another teacher will see it and will be like, oh, this is a good job. So I think the subjectivity of it is what demotivated me to stay away from the languages. So it drew my attention more to the math because math as a language is universal. I mean, if you solve for x and x is equal to 10 in an equation, all over the world, in Korea, in Afghanistan, in Ghana, in wherever, x is equal to 10. So that made me develop more interest in math, and I started working harder and harder and harder. And suddenly I was scoring the 90s, the 95. Then I was like, oh, I mean, this is where I could belong. So practically, that is the more reason why I chose math, because to me, it is more objective.
Gotcha, which make perfect sense. And by the way, this is actually being recorded Facebook Live. If you have question, you can put in the box. We won't be able to go over questions, but I'm pretty sure Francis can take some time and reply to those comment box. And just to actually uh, piggyback again on what you said about the subjectivity about a different subject. When I was in college, my first year in college, I was asked to write an essay, right? English class. And I decide to write my essay about this guy right here, Bob Marley, the one you see in my background.
Oh,
I love Bob Marley. I love the music, the reggae. Oh my God, that's one of my favorite guy. But anyway, I wrote the essay. The essay was about one of his song called "Redemption Song." Okay, and it's just a beautiful song. If you never listened to Bob Marley Redemption song, I highly recommend you listen to it. But anyway, I wrote that essay, and the teacher, the professor, said, I got an A on there. It was so. I mean, this is Bob Marley is somebody I've been following for years, so I know his stuff. So I wrote the essay. Teacher said, "Man, it was amazing, great, perfect. Got my A, boom." So the next semester, I had to write an essay, the same style of essay, and guess what I did? I took the same essay and presented to the professor. I actually have a D on that essay, and I was livid.
Yeah.
And I told the professor off. I said, "This is just your opinion. You cannot grade my work based on your." And listen, I'm a little bit militant, so when it comes to that, so just to tell you, just to be and just to agree with what you say, a lot of things are subjective, and math is something that's really concrete. No matter where you go, 2 plus 2 is 4.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm glad you actually said that. So we're actually coming to an end right now, Francis, and I'm so happy you come in to the show. And my question to you, and I always have this question for many of my guests that comes to the show. My question to you is there anything based on your experience when on Africa and here concerning the education system, is there any final word you want to say to anyone that's in the educational system right now in America? Maybe they're in middle school, high school, going to college. Is there any word of wisdom as a teacher that you would say to those students listening?
Well, what I would say is, you know, in here, the authorities, I'm talking about people in power, people in the educational system, they have made it so easy for people to succeed. When I mean easy, I mean everything is at your fingertip. Talk about resources, talk about facilities, talk about, I mean, everything. Sometimes when I go into my classroom, I look around and say, wow, this is heaven. Why couldn't some of us, I mean, get the opportunity to experience this? So it's like, if I want to use an example, a golf game, when you hit the golf ball at a distance, then there are those holes. The ball goes to fall right inches next to the hole. So you as a student here, what you got to do is to just pick that stick and just press it that little just to fall in the hole. So everything has been laid out for you just to succeed. And that is one thing that in my heart, I'm always grateful to have seen that here they care about the people. We never had that opportunity. In my high school time, I never saw an air condition. An air condition was only one in the principal's office. I mean, we were sitting in the classroom in a high school. During this, I was doing chemistry and physics in the laboratory. There were no air conditions. I mean, things were so bad, but we worked hard for it. If it is not by the grace of God and through hard work, trust me, some of us wouldn't be here. So, what I would say is the opportunity has been created for everyone here. It is so real to see. You can touch it, you can feel it. What you need to do is to do your part as a student. How do you do your part? Just work hard. Because the systems are in place for you to succeed. So you have to grab the opportunity. My principal said, opportunity is like a human being with hair on the face. At the back, there is no hair. So when you meet the opportunity, you grab it in the face, in the hair. But when you let it pass, when you want to grab it at the back of the hair, there is nothing, so you can't grab it. The opportunities are in millions in America from what I have seen. In Africa, even as we speak, there was a news bulletin in Ghana. It was a live story, it was real, where people that were going to write exams in the village, there was floods. So they could not cross to go and write. And we're talking about final exams. People that are in the 12th grade, their final exams, they could not cross the river and it's a small river. So there was an excavator. I mean, the story, it touched my heart so much that they were using excavator so that students will stand at that part of the excavator that scoops the soil. They will stand in it, then the excavator takes them to the other side of the river. But even that, students still wanted to cross the river to go and ride. But I mean, here there is no excavator. Everything is just there. Do your part as a student, work hard, and trust me, you will succeed. That is what I would say.
Man, what an amazing closure. Mr. Francis, thank you for the word of wisdom. I really appreciate it. And I think you felt right on point with all this great advice. And I love the story you relate to it because you can vividly see it, the
Yeah.
difficulty compared to, Africa as education to even get to school. Um, and even here, how everything is just, right in front of us. So thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to see you again.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure being here. I appreciate you having me on the show. And at any point in time when you call on me, I will just be a phone call away. I'm grateful for you to have me.
Thank you so much, man. Have a good one.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a
Okay,
good
bye bye.
evening.